Do you find yourself reacting emotionally when confronted by someone who thinks you might have done something wrong? Do you get pissed off when someone doesn't agree with you and afterwards you regret how you managed that situation? Of course you do. And the situation always ends up badly, or at least worse than it could have been if you'd just responded appropriately. Well, I'm about to give you the 5 key steps to dropping your ego, dropping your emotions, and responding rather than reacting to any situation at any time. Avoiding that overreaction, or in other words, using your emotional control, is a crucial skill that helps us manage and get the most out of any situation more effectively. The key difference between responding and reacting lies in the level of thoughtfulness and emotional regulation you manage to put in place. What does reaction look like? It's immediate and impulsive because it normally comes from your emotions, from the anger, from the frustration, from the potential embarrassment. It's automatic because it's that old ancient part of the brain that reacts automatically to getting out of the way of the saber-toothed tiger or not getting run over by a woolly mammoth. But it's not really designed to handle today's conversations when you get emotionally upset. And because reactions are often not thought out, they often lead to unintended circumstances, making things worse, escalating conflict, and not giving you a chance to de-escalate the situation. Responding is a different kettle of fish altogether. It involves thoughtful, deliberate return and response. And if you take some time and a deep breath to think about the context and your behavior, you might have a better chance of responding in a way that's so much more aligned to the goals of your situation, the goal of the conversation, and how you're going to de-escalate the situation or get what you need out of the conversation. So what's the secret to being able to respond rather than react? I'm about to tell you the 5 key critical steps to a strategy of response rather than react. Number 1, be self-aware and recognize your emotional response. You had a conversation. This guy's a real jerk. He's fired up. He clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. He's starting to piss me off. Okay, turn that around. Why are you reacting that way? Why are you acting angrily to this person's comments? They obviously don't have the full picture. How are you going to get the best outcome out of the situation? Is it to be angry, make snide remarks, and undercut the person? Or is it to take the time, take a deep breath, and consider that this person doesn't have all the context, and maybe the best response is to fill them in on what they're missing? Number 2, it's all about breathing. Breathing is the best tool for calming you down and giving you a moment to contemplate what the best response to the situation is. The fastest way to reduce your emotional state is to take a deep breath. It could be taking 5 deep breaths, giving you a chance to contemplate your thoughts in the context of the situation. It could be box breathing, which is breathing in for 4 seconds, holding it for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, and leaving it out for 4 seconds. This will drop your heart rate immediately and will calm you right down. And it's going to give you a chance again to think about the context of the conversation and how you should respond. Step 3. So you've understood your own emotional response. You've taken some deep breaths, you've calmed right down. Now, take that moment to contemplate the other person's situation. What is their perspective? Stand in their shoes for a moment. Understand what has made them angry, what's upset them, what's gone wrong. Have they got all the information? Have they got the wrong information? And perhaps, maybe, just this once, you might be in the wrong. Now, in order to do that, you need to move to step 4, which is being mindful. That means being present. There's nothing worse than being in a conversation where you can tell by the blank look in the eyes of the person you're talking to that they're spending all this time thinking about what their next word is, their next response is, and not listening to the context you're trying to give them in the conversation. Don't you do the same thing. Don't think about the past. Don't think about what Bob did to you yesterday or where this conversation might lead to tomorrow. Stop and spend some time actively listening to the person who's talking to you. Dig through their emotions, try and get past them, and understand their context. Stand a moment in their shoes, and you might find that the best response is something completely different to your emotional, angry response that you came up with straight off the bat. This is going to put you in a position where you will be able to listen to what's being said rather than trying to interpret with your emotional bias and all of the baggage that comes from history and the worries about the future, tainting what you hear and making you hear something that's not being said. And number 5, after all of that, considering their position, considering the context of the conversation, lowering your emotions, taking a deep breath, and being mindful of the situation, then have some empathy for the position of the other person. Don't assume it's all about you, maybe it's about them. Give them a chance to speak it out, to understand what's created their emotional response, and help them help you understand what the best possible outcome of this conversation is. If you follow those 5 rules to responding rather than reacting, you will get a much better outcome out of every conversation that you have. Plus, you'll be present, you won't be as emotional as you normally are, you're going to be angry less often, and you're going to get good outcomes. So what are you going to do? You're going to write down these 5 steps to the strategy. Next time you end up in an emotional conversation, stop, take a deep breath, think about the 5 steps and work through them so that you get the best outcome possible. And if this works for you, I want to hear about your success. Comment below, let me know how it went, what went well, what didn't go well, what you might do better next time. Finally, the hidden step number 6. Perhaps the person is just a Debbie Downer, a negative energy vampire, someone who is just sucking the life out of your day. That's a different situation. Now's your chance to try and work on their mindset and their approach and give them some lessons on how to deal with their negative emotions. If you want to understand this more, have a look at my video about dealing with negative people. It'll give you some tips on how to change someone's mindset. Enjoy the journey.